International Safe Abortion Day, and the conversation around access to healthcare, accurate information, and safe choices took center stage. In South Africa, Abortion Support has released a powerful new educational video providing evidence-based guidance on self-managed abortion at home. The video aims to break stigma, empower women with knowledge, and promote bodily autonomy, especially in a country where reproductive health is often shrouded in silence and misinformation. And we are joined now to explore the motivation behind the campaign and how it fits into broader reproductive justice movements. We're joined by Victoria Satchwell, Executive Director of Abortion Support. Victoria, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Let's talk about why it was so important to focus specifically on self-managed abortion at this year's International Safe Abortion Day.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And I would agree that the truth should break no friendship, and that's why we made this video. Yeah, so one of the biggest barriers to access to abortion is actually information. People don't know where they can get an abortion, if medication abortion is safe, what does the process actually look like? Will I be in pain? So there really are a lot of perceptions that abortion is dangerous and difficult. And we have no images, no video, no accurate perception about what this very common process is actually like. So 1 in 4 women have an abortion. But people's ideas are often, that there's a lot of blood or that it's not safe, and it's not accurate. So we really do need evidence-based information so that people can make accurate choices.
Right. I think, beyond that, Victoria, I think one thing for me that's really important and why I personally wanted to have this conversation and, just really shocked that, us as women here on the African continent and many other places in the world where, abortion talk is still such a taboo subject, is people still need to think about whether to even have the conversation. They take weeks upon weeks trying to think about just even talking about it, let alone making the decision to go and have one, for example. So even opening up the conversation is difficult for people. But let's talk about abortion as a civil rights issue, as a public health issue, because access to safe abortions is still an issue for many people and many women and girls on the African continent. So what are your thoughts on opening up the conversation and finding the language to be able to talk to each other, to talk to our parents, to talk to our healthcare workers freely about abortion?
Yeah, I think that it's so important to be supported while you're going through an abortion process. So actually having someone with you when you're doing your abortion, but also, of course, before wanting to be able to speak to a friend or a partner, not feeling like you need to be alone in this. And I'm hoping that this video, what it really wanted to do was humanize the process, to see, oh, this lady did it. She seems like she's okay. It seemed like it was safe. So if we can normalize it, then that's how we can sort of start introducing it in a way that it's just something that happens. It's 1 in 4 women. So hopefully with this imagery and with this video, we can destigmatize and normalize, allowing people to have those conversations more.
If you have any questions for Victoria, if you'd like to chime in on this conversation, please drop us a WhatsApp, a voice note, +2763 406 9126. It's now 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We'll continue our conversation with Victoria right after this.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for Hard Talk Discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Well, at this year's International Safe Abortion Day, Abortion Support had released a powerful new educational video providing evidence-based guidance on self-managed abortion at home. And we continue our conversation with Victoria Satchwell, Executive Director of Abortion Support. Victoria, let's talk about the work that Abortion Support do. Before we continue and unpack that entire video and who it's aimed at and where we can access it, let's talk about the work that you do as Abortion Support.
Thanks. So we're a nonprofit based in Johannesburg, and we provide digital support for self-managed abortion. So what that means is that pregnant people can visit our website and do an online consultation with a doctor in order to get abortion pills so that they can use the abortion pills at home. And then we also do research and advocacy work trying to help people understand that this is an option for them and trying to get it more mainstreamed.
Okay. Let's talk about the project and the filming thereof. How did you psychologically prepare yourself for this? Because just also follow through from the last segment where we spoke about the tabooness around even talking about abortion. How did you mentally prepare for your own process and abortion experience that you ultimately filmed for this awareness short film? How did you prepare? Did you talk to anyone? And just the entire process of filming the project.
Yeah, so this isn't the first abortion that I've had. I've had a medication abortion before, so I kind of knew a little bit what to expect. And of course, I work with abortion every day, so I also know that every abortion process is different, and this one was very different to the one that I'd had before. And so I mean, I 100% was sure immediately as I saw my positive pregnancy test. I already knew I don't want to be pregnant right now. And then I did speak to a few friends, not really about whether I wanted to end the pregnancy, but more about whether I wanted to film the process. And this is something that we've actually been hoping to produce footage like this for a while. We had a project where we had an open call for anyone doing a self-managed abortion to record it, but very few people wanted to do that, and that's understandable. I think the reason that it was easier for me is because I work with abortion every day. And so it's already a completely normalized and not scary experience for me. So it was actually not at all difficult to have some friends come in and film it for me.
Victoria, the self-managed abortion, I think in layman's terms, what does it actually mean? When we talk about self-managed abortion, does this mean terminating a pregnancy on your own without any supervision? Give us in layman's terms what that actually means.
Sure. So it's a broad term, and it just means that a woman can manage part or all of the pregnancy termination on her own. So we can think about it in sort of abortion in three different parts. There are three different elements of it. We've got being able to assess that you are pregnant and that you're within the safe time period to use the abortion pills. And then we've got taking the pills, so actually, putting them under your tongue and going through the process yourself. And then we've also got assessing the success of the abortion process, making sure that it actually worked and that there aren't any complications that need additional care. And so the World Health Organization says that it is safe for women to do all three of those elements by herself. But also in most contexts, you're actually going to be doing part of it yourself and part of it with a healthcare provider. So getting some support from the healthcare system.
Okay. So let's talk about the difference then, because, I'm just looking at the statistics and they are frightening. I mean, in countries like Mali, for an example, 80% of abortions are still happening outside healthcare facilities, which means then there are backdoor abortions and then they are unsafe. In South Africa, we've had legalized safe abortion since 1996, but 50% of women and girls still do backdoor abortions. So is it that we perhaps don't understand that we have access to the service that is free in healthcare facilities? But also with that, Victoria, perhaps you can tell us the difference between a medical abortion and a surgical abortion. And how did you make the decision to go with one or the other? Because I think you mentioned that your first one was a medical one, which means you'd go into a facility and have it done that way. And this one was self-managed. So how does one even make that decision to either go and get a medical abortion or do a surgical one that they self-manage?
Sure. So I'll start with the first part of your question. Indeed, we have severe access issues in South Africa. Even though we do have legalized abortion, only 7% of our clinics are actually providing that service. So that means that most people, they aren't living close to a clinic. And then you end up having a situation where we are having these informal abortions. And indeed, some of them are unsafe. And that's what we're worried about. We don't want women to be using steel wool or not knowing how to use the medication properly. And so what's wonderful about self-managed abortion is that you don't need to be near a clinic. And if you're scared of the nurse, you think the nurse is going to stigmatize you, you don't need to go into the clinic. You can get your abortion pills, use them at home, and it can reduce so many of those barriers to abortion. And it's also good for the healthcare system because it means that we have less people coming to the clinic, so we can help with other illnesses or health issues that actually must have in-person care. And in other countries in Africa, you can actually buy misoprostol, which is the abortion pill, at a pharmacy. In many cases, you don't need a prescription. Sometimes you do. So it really can improve access for women. And in terms of a medication abortion or a medical abortion, which is also the one with pills, versus a surgical abortion, this is really the preference of the woman. So you can choose which one you would like to do. Some people prefer to go into the clinic because they will be with a healthcare provider the whole time. It's quicker. It usually takes around 5 to 10 minutes. And it's done using something called manual vacuum aspiration. So it's a little machine that causes a vacuum for the pregnancy to come out of the uterus. But some people don't want to go into a clinic. And also, it's a very different experience because, with a surgical, you're sitting there with your legs open and it's much more invasive. Whereas with the pills, you're at home or in a clinic and you're just, taking pills, and then those pills are going to cause the contractions of the uterus that are going to expel the pregnancy. So you're going to be bleeding. Usually the most intense bleeding is usually for a few hours. So they're quite different processes, but both have been shown they're equally safe, and both are really good options.
Victoria, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. If you'd like to find out more, do we just need to go to abortionsupport.co.za?
Indeed, and you can also check out the video of me self-managing my abortion at home on our TikTok page, which is abortion.sa.
Abortion.sa. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your time this afternoon. The voice of Victoria Satchwell, Executive Director of Abortion Support. And this is after Abortion Support had released a powerful new educational video providing evidence-based guidance on self-managed abortion at home. And Victoria is the subject in that video. Go check them out on TikTok and abortionsupport.co.za. It's 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest in sports.